Hello again. This is Alexis Van Hurkman back for yet another DaVinci Resolve new features tutorial. This time I'm going to be going over some of the late-breaking new features available in 10.1, which just came out a few days ago relative to this recording. As you probably already know, I just released through Ripple Training another new features in DaVinci Resolve 10 title, and that one was up to date as of 10.0.2, but the engineers at DaVinci apparently never sleep and they never stop. They are relentless machines of awesomeness, and they just keep cranking out new stuff for us to use. So I am going ahead and recording this title as a free giveaway via Ripple so that everyone can get filled in on 10.1. And those of you who've already purchased the previous new features in 10 title, you are now up to date. So without further ado, let's dive in. Now, I'm not covering every single little thing that's in the README that accompanies the installer. There's a nice long list that shows all of the stuff. And some of the features include new things that are new compatibilities with Final Cut Pro 10 XML import. A lot of those are subtle. Check the list. You'll be real happy if you're a Final Cut Pro 10 user. For the rest of us, I'm going to get into some real hands-on things that you can do in DaVinci Resolve 10.1 that are very new. To get started, I'm going to open up the edited scene that we created for the last new features tutorial. And I'm going to jump straight into the edit page because this is where most of the new features are located. The first new feature that I want to talk about and spend some time on is the Take Selector. This is somewhat reminiscent of the Auditions feature in Final Cut Pro 10. And in fact, one of the reasons for this feature's existence is to be able to import auditions from Final Cut 10 into Resolve. So that's one less thing that you need to prep if you're in a Final Cut 10 to Resolve workflow. And in particular, you don't have to finalize your auditions in Final Cut 10 anymore to export that XML into Resolve. Resolve is perfectly capable of seeing what the current clip is supposed to be, and that appears in the timeline automatically. If you're working directly within Resolve, you can use Take Selectors for a variety of different things. First off, let's see how they're made. You right-click any clip, and you choose Take Selector from the contextual menu. Now I have a target to which I can drag other clips that I might want to stack up. So for example, I've got this answer door scene. This happens to be the GJ shot. And I want this alternate take. So I can just drag that alternate take into the Take Selector. It automatically appears stacked on top. And I can even slip its contents to line it up the way I want it to appear against the other shot underneath. And I can add as many shots as I want. Say I wanted to add this shot as an alternate. I can just keep stacking up shots and slipping them into place. And if I want to switch this particular shot to another shot, say I want to use that take, all I do is click it to select it. It appears blue. And then I close the Take Selector, and that is now the clip that appears in the timeline. You can see this little Take Selector badge appears to the left of the name of that clip. I can double click it to reopen the Take Selector, and if I want, I can select another clip. Now, an idiosyncrasy of this feature is as you select clips and choose them to appear in the timeline, the next time you open up the Take Selector, and it can be a little bit hard to double click without selecting the endpoint, you lose your handles. I'm hoping this is something that changes in future versions. It's just for now, it's something that you should be aware of. Anyway, I can switch back and forth at will, and the timeline updates with the new contents. I can open the Take Selector whenever I want. If I want to dump a clip out, say I decide this really doesn't belong there anymore, I can simply select that clip and click the trash can icon, and the Take Selector closes. Now there are two ways I can get rid of the Take Selector. I can either close the Take Selector, double click it, and choose Finalize Take, and that does the trick. You can see the badge has disappeared. Or I can undo that, reopen the Take Selector, and you can see if I select an alternate clip and click the trash can icon and then close the Take Selector, that Take Selector disappears. If there's no other clip inside a Take Selector, it just goes away and you're left with the clip by itself. I'm going to undo. Now another thing you can use this for, if you're a colorist and or finishing editor, you can use this to stack up VFX shots for which you're being given multiple iterative versions. So if you want to track all the different versions, say the director is waffling between 3 versions that are really liked, you can keep them all live, you can keep them all synced in with the timeline, and whenever the decider changes their mind, you can simply open the Take Selector up, select that clip, go on about your business. Now, when the Take Selector is closed, it appears like any other clip. And if you jump into the color page, you can see that you can grade this clip and work with it just like any other clip. So if I need to go back, reopen the Take Selector, choose another clip, I can always move backwards. So it's a very handy construct. That's the Take Selector.